And so, I thought I'd just come back after a few days away, be a bit quiet, you know, because we've had the silly season has come and gone now. It's not silly. It was never silly, actually. There's always been a massive story, and now this.
Well, you managed to get through the airport without getting arrested.
I didn't get arrested.
Any hurty tweets.
I wore a disguise.
I mean, that was pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, that was
ridiculous. Linehan a few days ago. That was on Monday, wasn't it? He got arrested.
Yeah.
And now this.
And now he's suing the police, I understand.
Yeah.
And with the help of the Free Speech
And
Union.
now everybody's calling Britain North Korea.
Yeah. Nigel Farage was in America yesterday doing exactly that.
Yeah.
Just incredible, really.
But the Daily Mail, I think their headline is Starmer so spineless that he won't sack her. Doesn't that go to the root of it? Because what will he do now? Will he do anything about this?
Well, this is the trouble.
Anything?
This is the trouble. And he said yesterday, did he not, during Prime Minister's questions, how proud he was.
Oh, yeah, and he mentioned that she was working class.
To stand by her and that she's a working class woman and that's why everybody hates her.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound very working class to me. She seems to be in receipt of a large amount of compensation on behalf of her son.
Exactly.
Some of which she has used to purchase her way out of another flat and then put more money down on an £800,000 flat. It doesn't sound very working class to me.
And a lot of people are saying, look, surely it's clear that her main residence should have been her constituency home, yeah, in Greater Manchester.
That's what she says it is, though.
But she's taken her name off the title deeds of that home so that she could designate.
But for council tax purposes,
she still pays. Yeah.
For council tax purposes, she says the home in Ashton-under-Lyne
is where she pays her council tax.
Is her main home. That's what she says.
Yeah. But
so it can't all be right, can it?
But it was her. But she paid the stamp duty, the lower rate of stamp duty on her on her first home,
right,
which she then designated as the seafront place in Hove.
Right.
That's why she paid 30, not 70. It's all dodgy isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is.
Extremely.
Because, like I say, she's actually gone to all the trouble of somehow manoeuvring her finances so that she gets a payoff of something like 162. It says here, part of the son's compensation, £162,500 was paid for from a trust fund set up to care for 17-year-old Charlie, who was born prematurely. She then put that money towards a deposit on the £800,000
Shouldn't that money be in the trust fund for the son?
Well, you would have thought so.
Not going towards properties.
But she's claiming then, she was paid to her, but she sold a 25% share of her house in Ashton-under-Lyne. So it's all very dodgy. Well, she's basically sold 25% of the house in Ashton-under-Lyne and taken that money and bought another house. But that doesn't mean she doesn't have that house in Ashton-under-Lyne.
Well, it still means that you need to pay the correct amount of stamp duty on your first and your second homes, and she's got her Grace and Favour flat in London, on which she pays no council tax, no stamp duty, nothing.
Which she would do if it was her main home. And surely, given that she works in London and is a member of the government, a fairly senior one, surely her main home should be in London, shouldn't it?
Well, I think because it's a Grace and Favour flat,
no, but she would pay. No, but she would have to pay the council tax if it was her main home. She doesn't pay the council tax on it because she says it's not her main home.
I don't think anyone...
So this is a tangled web.
Yeah, and the disabled son has been, I think, wheeled out, and it complicates the issue because no one would deny that you want to put money away to look after your children, especially if they're not going to be able to
but
work
hang on, they had an 11-year legal battle to get the money.
I know, but that's what I'm saying.
That
being brought in makes it all very murky and makes her difficult to attack on that front.
Not really.
But I think...
Not really, because she's not being transparent. The point is that, you know, she's claiming that she's protecting the identities and the sort of the personal aspects of her son's disability. And she also hid behind for a while, did she not, a court order which said that you couldn't reveal any of the details.
But we also know that she used a firm that was very good at the Wealth Protection Fund. We also know she's had extensive legal advice, hasn't she?
I mean, she knows more about buying houses than most people. She's bought a lot of them.
She bought a lot of them. Also, hasn't she introduced some of these new rules? And she's the housing minister, so that's not
they brought increased stamp duty in by lowering the threshold. So most people that I know who were thinking of buying a home this year decided not to do it because it was too expensive.
Exactly.
She didn't decide not to do it because she just didn't bother paying it. That appears to be the case to me.
And all of her legal advice will be in kind of document form. And I just think that she's absolutely
here's this guy
blaming everybody else. What's the headline?
Tax expert Dan Needle, who's called Dane Needle in the Daily Mail, which is not right. Apparently he says it's very unusual for someone to pay the wrong amount of stamp duty when they're receiving tax advice. That's what he says, and he's on their side. He then adds there are probably three possibilities. One, Ms Rayner got the law wrong, which is not helpful if you're the housing minister. Two, she didn't take the right advice. Three, she didn't disclose all the facts to the law firm.
Exactly. And also,
it's got to be one of those three.
Ignorance is no defence. Ignorance of the law is no defence. That is irrelevant. HMRC don't care about that. It's completely irrelevant.
Of course not. According
I could
to
take
Wes
all the
Streeting,
legal advice in the world, but it comes down to what I actually end up paying.
Yeah. According to Wes Streeting, mistakes happen apparently, and she should be allowed to keep her job. He says that she's a decent person, she is an honest woman. I generally think she has acted in good faith at every step of the way. This is a mistake, but it's an honest mistake. Well, that's all right then, as long as it's an honest mistake as opposed to a dishonest mistake.
No, but that's irrelevant.
Of course it's irrelevant.
It's irrelevant if you break the law. It's irrelevant.
Yeah. Exactly right. Questions in the Daily Mail. The Deputy Prime Minister consulted a leading tax barrister after journalists questioned whether she had underpaid. Due to the way the trust relating to the Ashton Underline house is set up, the legal expert told her it should still be classed as her main residence. So it's still their main residence because she hasn't sold all of it. She's just sold a bit of it, right? This makes the Hove flat a second home, which is liable for the extra 5% stamp duty, meaning she owes HMRC an extra 40 grand.
An extra 40 grand. But
it's
my
pretty
worry,
straightforward.
Yeah, exactly. And my worry is that she's going to cling on. I can see this happening. Already Starmer came out. I mean, OK, he'd only had a few minutes to process all of this after her kind of teary interview.
Yeah.
But I think she's going to cling on. I think that she'll probably say, well, I'll pay the extra, and then cling on.
Well, I mean, they've got Ange up the creek without a paddle, with that great picture of her in the canoe from the other day, vaping. I'm afraid she is up the creek without a paddle. I think she's going to go. I disagree with you. I think she's going to have to go. Even Kate Ferguson, who's not normally prone to, you know, this kind of, rhetoric, says Angela Rayner is certainly a hypocrite and she could be a liar as well.
And I agree with all that. And all week, Mike, all for the past week, we've had people, all the lefties saying, there's no question. You know, it's just about the optics. It doesn't look great, but there's no question she's done anything wrong. There are so many questions about what she's done. And surely, and on what basis.
If she has now admitted doing something wrong.
She has done something wrong.
They should all be apologising to the media for telling them all that they're such a horrible bunch of ghastly people because they're going after a working class woman.
Working class, exactly. It's absolutely, completely
some of the stuff in the papers today. It's what newspapers do so well. How the merciless Red Queen was brought down by a mess of her own making is the Mail.
And also, Mike, I mean, you were away, but on Tuesday, I think it was Tuesday, Monday or Tuesday, their cabinet meeting, she sashayed out of her limo wearing
the
these
white
big
sunglasses. I saw that.
I mean, it was totally inappropriate, but one couldn't attack her for that, but it just really, really winds you up.
Yeah.
Anyway, there she is, rising above it all, sashaying around in her Hollywood sunglasses, and absolutely, 2 days later, comes down to earth with a bump. In fact, 1 day later, comes down to earth with a bump.
She realises she's been rumbled.
Yeah, completely.
And now she's trying to
get out. And now she's crying.
And now she's trying to get out of it. Let's have a look at what she said about Nadeem Zahawi. You might remember he had some trouble with paying his taxes. This is a few years ago.
Every pound of tax that's not delivered to the Chancellor and to the Exchequer means that it damages our public services, and we know the state they're in. So the former Chancellor, when he was Chancellor last summer, made it clear at the time when he was questioned that he pays all his taxes and that he's done everything appropriately, and was threatening legal letters to anyone that questioned him. Now it emerged actually that that's not true, and that there was a HMRC investigation and that he's had to pay penalties for that. I think that makes his position untenable.
Yeah, I think that makes your position untenable as well, because you don't want to be taking money away from public services, do you?
Exactly.
By not paying your taxes.
Every
or indeed
penny that
by
doesn't
offloading
go in.
several hundred thousand, possibly more than £1 million in compensation from the NHS Stockport NHS Foundation Trust. We still don't know how much that she got for that.
And where's that money gone?
Well, some of it's gone to the flat in Hove. We know that, right?
And I think once people start digging about her on-off partner Sam Tarry as well, she's going to be in trouble because...
Well, who knows how complicated their tax affairs are going to be.
Exactly, exactly.
Let's have a look at what she said. I think this was yesterday, talking about how she found out she wasn't paying enough tax.
I took expert counsel advice on all of my affairs to ensure that everything was done proper, and that expert counsel said that the advice that I received was inaccurate because of the trust. I don't own the property, that is true. I only own one property that is mortgaged, like most people. But because of the nature of the trust that was set up by the court, that I would be liable to pay the additional stamp duty. As soon as I knew that that was the case, I have alerted and referred myself to the independent advisor on the ministerial code to ensure that they can look transparently at what's happened, and also contacted HMRC to say that there is additional tax owing on this, and that I'm prepared to pay that and fully comply with the HMRC as well.
She's fully prepared to pay it.
Oh, that's nice
good,
of
isn't
her.
it? Nice.
Yeah, that's nice of her.
So let me get
straight. So she's actually saying she got the incorrect legal advice.
Yes. So, no, she says she got expert legal advice.
That was wrong.
But apparently that was wrong.
The first people were wrong.
The first people were wrong.
Yeah.
And then she got some more expert legal advice, which turned out to say that that was wrong, and to say that now, because of the trust, which I don't know whether the court set up or she set up, that's not clear, because if the court set it up, how is she able to take money out of it? You know, because normally a trust is not something you can remove money from unless it's specifically for the benefit of the individual for whom the trust has been set up.
Property.
Right? You don't just get to buy another flat with it because it's your son's money. He's a minor, he's still 17.
Yeah.
So
you might buy a flat for him.
Who's the trustee of the trust?
I don't know.
I mean, these are all questions.
And these are questions about who's giving her incorrect. That advice was incorrect.
She's managed to find some experts on tax who don't know anything about it, which is well done, Ange. I mean, if this is the level of the advice that she seeks, then what other advice is she getting to run the country with for the Ministry of Housing and or Levelling Up and or Communities?
There's something extremely fishy at the
I mean,
heart
I
of
wonder
all
if she paid for this bad advice or whether it was just done on a kind of nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
Well, I think all of that advice needs to be published, doesn't it?
I think so, because now you've opened the ball on this whole charade. We need to know all of it. You can't just go, we'll give you this bit, but we won't give you the other bit. I'm afraid you're going to have to give us all of it. Because she might be in you know, breach of some kind of tax law, in which case she may have committed a criminal offence. I don't know. Just putting it out there. Possible. Let's have a look at what Starmer had to say about tax avoidance, shall we?
That any politician who seeks to avoid the taxes they owe in this country is not fit to be in charge of taxpayer money.
Right, OK then, we're clear on that. Let's play that one again, shall we, just in case you missed the beginning.
That any politician who seeks to avoid the taxes they owe in this country is not fit to be in charge of taxpayer money.
So, I guess you'd have to let her go then, or has he got another reason why he wants to keep her on? This is yesterday.
In relation to the Deputy Prime Minister, she has explained her personal circumstances in detail. She's gone over and above in setting out the details, including Mr. Speaker, yesterday afternoon, asking a court to lift a confidentiality order in relation to her own son. She has now referred herself to the independent adviser. That is the right thing to do. But I can be clear, I am very proud to sit alongside a Deputy Prime Minister who is building 1.5 million homes, who is bringing the biggest upgrade to workers' rights in a generation, and who's come from a working-class background to be Deputy Prime Minister of this country.
Yeah, I wonder how many other working-class people have a trust fund for which they can plunder money to buy a third house.
A third home.
Doesn't sound very working class, does it?
It really doesn't. And as for building
1.5 definition. Yeah, where are these 1.5 million homes?
1.5 million homes. That's a complete lie. It's completely untrue.
Right.
That is absolutely.
But he also says any politician who avoids paying tax is not fit to run public services.
To be in charge of taxpayers' money.
So what happened to that?
It's really clear. And Angela Rayner is the one who attacked not only Nadeem Zahawi, but also Rishi Sunak, because he'd paid 1-point-something million on his 4-point-something million pound income. He'd only paid a quarter. He'd only paid £1 million or more. And she was attacking him.
And they were attacking his wife, weren't they? Even though she didn't owe any money. Because she was paying the money that she needed to pay.
And
she actually ended up paying more money than she needed to pay.
Of course she did.
But they were having a massive go at her because she was wealthy. And she had to pay more money in tax because she's wealthy.
Yeah.
Wealthy.
And she had non-dom status and she immediately paid up. There was no cover-up.
No.
With the Sunaks.
Not at all.
They were just extremely wealthy people.
Right. So she's now told HMRC that she's certainly willing and able to pay the 40,000. So she's got a spare 40 grand knocking around, has she? Like most working class people. I'll just pay the 40 grand. Just take it out of my son's, you know, corporate trustee account.
And what are people saying in her constituency? They're saying she's never around. We never see her.
No.
In that great big home.
No, because she doesn't live there.
She doesn't live there.
But it's her first home.
And where do the children?
And that's where she pays the council tax. Well, that's not clear either, because it's not clear whether the Hove flat has been purpose-built for him.
I thought that was a sort of love shack.
She said she needed it to be because it was near London, even though she's got a house in London.
She doesn't need...
The whole thing is a complete farrago.
She doesn't need a luxury
of
beachfront apartment to be near London. She's got a grace and favour in London.
Actually, in London. Yeah.
a few minutes.
Blimey,
from
look at the
Westminster.
sun over there. That looks amazing. It's a fantastic sunrise. Sorry, I've just been slightly distracted. Anyway, listen, I think the sun's setting on Angela Rayner's career right now, so we'll have a moment's silence for her, shall we? It's 6:20. Welcome back to Morning Glory, 24 minutes past 6. Welcome back, Mike, says Mike from Herne Bay. Why did the media obsess about Rayner being working class? Working class people never had to rely on having a council house, got benefits as a single parent, and certainly didn't get the right to buy option. Well, exactly right. I don't think it's the media obsessing about Rayner. It's the Labour government and the Labour Party who try to make out that because she's a working class woman, that's why she gets into more trouble than anybody else. Well, apparently not. Like I said, I don't know any working class women that have got 3 different properties that they can spend time in. I think that's rather a luxurious point of view to have, isn't it?
Exactly. I really, really resent it when they bring up the class thing as though we're attacking her because she's common.
Right.
Well, I mean, I think she is quite common, actually, with all that raving in Ibiza.
Yeah.
I don't think the way
tried to do what was proper, as she said.
No, but I don't think that the way that they conduct themselves is actually particularly fitting for a Minister of State. It's an honour to serve in our government, to be Deputy Prime Minister, and to be lolling on a lilo, drinking wine and, you know, all of that stuff.
And
I don't
vaping.
think it's fitting. But that's not why anyone is attacking her.
No, of course not. Let's have a look at what she said about how there's one rule for them and another rule for everybody else.
Only one rule with this cabinet, and that is that there's one rule for them and one rule for all of us.
And when you say all of us, does that mean tax-avoiding Labour government ministers?
Of the people.
I mean, clearly that's what she's done here. Whichever way you want to cut it, we don't want to call it tax evasion because that actually is illegal, but she certainly avoided tax. As people have pointed out here, you know, it's really not that difficult. I've got an amazing thing here, a bloke called Conor Naismith, MP. I've never heard of him, but he's apparently the Labour MP for Crewe and Nantwich, not a million miles away from Angie's patch.
Yeah.
He says, I defy anyone to listen to that interview with Angela Rayner on Sky, right, the one where she's in tears, and reach any other conclusion that the Deputy Prime Minister tried to do the right thing at every turn in a complex technical area of tax policy. We all rely on advice. Anyone could have made this mistake. And then it's pointed out to him underneath, it says, it's quite clear on the Gov UK website, the rules on stamp duty. You don't need to be an accountant to read the bit that says higher rates for additional properties. That's what you do. And also, as somebody who has bought property in the past, you are told immediately what the stamp duty liability is.
Yes.
That's up front, because what happens is when they give you a mortgage, they want to make sure that not only can you afford the repayments on the mortgage, but you can afford the stamp duty that you have to pay at the moment you purchase the place.
But you don't then
So everybody knows what it is.
But you don't then start taking your name off the title deeds of another property so that you can redesignate the third, okay, let's call it the second property, because she doesn't own her Grace and Favour place, but third. You don't then...
Yes, but the way that she deals with it means that she pays less council tax than if she designated it as her main property, because if she did, she would be paying the council tax on it.
Exactly.
That's the problem, right?
Yes, that is the problem.
And everybody can see it. The only people who can't see it, seemingly, are members of the Labour government. This is from Les. He says, join the dots. Rayner and her ex-husband own a mortgage property in Ashton-under-Lyne. Did they use her son's trust fund compensation payment to settle the outstanding mortgage in exchange for a 50% stake? This would leave Rayner and her ex owning the remaining 50%. In exchange for her remaining 25%, did she use another £162,000 of her son's trust to buy a seafront pad 265 miles away in Hove? There's all the questions are being asked by people.
And hopefully this is what the independent ethics advisor, who wants to see her apparently before the weekend... And this is interesting, isn't it, Mike, that they're delaying that reshuffle. There was going to be a big reshuffle, so they're delaying that apparently until Monday.
Right.
This guy, Mr. Magnus, one of the QC Magnus, whoever he is, the independent guy, wants to interview her before the weekend, so she'll have to tell him all this. She'll have to reveal all of this information. Yeah. And then, presumably, Starmer, what? Will he make a decision?
Well,
because I don't think he will.
Make one
is he too spineless? Yes, he is.
Unless he's forced into it. I forgot to mention, we're already just a few days into phase 2 of the new Labour government. That's the other bit I forgot about. Phase 2. It's not
Was that the most painful little video of Starmer's career ever?
It's not going very well, is it?
It's really not.
Phase
and then
2.
His Chancellor has
Maybe time for phase 3.
His Chancellor has had to delay her budget until almost Christmas.
Yeah.
Not the autumn budget, it's like the very end of November. Yeah. So that she can find a few more weeks to find this £50 billion.
Or maybe just so she can hang on to her ministerial salary.
Hang on to her job for a bit longer.
Let's have a voice note from Pete.
Oh dear, Angela 10-bedroom Rayner's up to her neck in it. I watched her interview yesterday with Beth Rigby, and she seemed to sling everybody under the bus, including her family members, to try and save her own skin. And if this latest revelation about her deposits is true, then that is well and truly the end of it. I mean, I don't know who she's been taking legal advice from, but it could well be Jonathan Reynolds. I think her position is completely untenable, and I suspect she'll be gone by the end of the week, if not the end of today.
Yeah, you can imagine old Jonathan Reynolds. Yeah, I'm a solicitor. I can give you some help with that. Yeah. All right then, Jonathan. Can you tell me how much stamp duty? Oh, don't worry about it.
Don't worry about
just
it. Move this here. Yeah, tell him you don't live there.
By the way, it's just been pointed out to me that if indeed the money that she used to put down on the house in Hove came from this fund, which was supplied by a compensation payment from NHS Stockport, the Foundation Trust, it's actually taxpayers' money.
Yeah.
So she's now using taxpayers' money to amass a property portfolio. That's what it looks like to me.
And I like what Pete said, because the front of the Daily Star, Angela Blamer.
Yeah, that's a good one, that.
Teary minister. I nearly resigned with her mate, Beth Rigby.
Yeah, have another go, sweetie.
Have a
how about Keir Starmer on breathtaking hypocrisy?
Chancellor who says to the British public that he will tax them. He's introduced 15 tax rises. And he says all of this is necessary, there's no option. If it now transpires that his wife has been using schemes to reduce her own tax, then I'm afraid that is breathtaking hypocrisy.
Breathtaking hypocrisy.
No,
indeed.
It's not illegal to use schemes to reduce your own tax.
But it is illegal not to pay stamp duty on a property that you've bought, which is in addition to another property.
That's illegal, but what if he's referring there to...
he's referring to Rishi Sunak's wife, I assume.
Yeah. It's not illegal. We're all entitled to use schemes to reduce the amount of tax we pay.
Difference between avoidance...
She was designated non-dom.
Yeah.
OK, and then they changed that, and then they decided to pay up.
Yeah, but they didn't need to.
No, they didn't need to.
She was under no obligation.
It wasn't illegal.
She was under no obligation to pay tax on money that she didn't make in this country, but she was under an obligation to pay tax in this country. Look, I don't care what party you're in, just pay your taxes. All the rest of us have to.
Yeah.
You know, we're not allowed to
follow
get any,
the law.
little property trusts over here.
Exactly.
And, some offshore stuff over there. You know, we all have to pay the tax that we get told to pay by HMRC every single year. There are people listening to this right now, driving around London, driving around Britain, thinking, I've got to pay my taxes at the end of this year before so you can't just get to December the 31st and go, you know what, I don't fancy paying it now. I think what I'll do is I just won't pay it until somebody tells me that they found out I didn't pay it.
And Mike, they don't get to move title deeds around their various properties because they don't have various properties. They just have the one, and they have to pay the taxes on that.
Yeah.
And they have to pay the stamp duty when they sell their property, when they buy their property. You know, that's how it goes.
That's how it goes. And it was this government that put the price of all of that up. Because they were the ones that said we're going to lower the threshold, so more of you are going to pay more in council tax, and more of you are going to pay more in stamp duty. As long as, of course, you're not in the government, in which case you don't have to worry. Clinging to her job is what they're saying this morning. Tearful Ms Rayner, dubbed 3 pads for having 3 homes, claims she'd been given bad tax advice. Questions she must answer. This is good in the Sun, when did you realise you hadn't paid the right amount of stamp duty? Was it after you sent all your mates out to say actually you had and you hadn't done anything wrong? Number 2, when did you inform the Prime Minister about paying too little tax? Did it come before or after he told the BBC you were the victim of a smear campaign, which would have meant the Prime Minister gave a misleading answer? Well, serious allegation. Now, number 3, which law firm advised you to pay the lower stamp duty rate? Were they property tax experts? If not, why not?
Who are these people? Let's see their advice.
Yeah. And if she can't tell us who they are, what does that tell you about whether she's making it up?
No, it'll all be documented. You can't just have this. It's not a phone call.
You get ridiculous amounts of documentation when you buy a house.
You really do.
Even before you get the mortgage granted, because they want to know how much money you've got and where it's coming from.
If she paid for that advice, she's got it somewhere.
Yeah. Because it would have been very clear in any document that she was taking money from a trust and putting it into a deposit form so that she could pay for the place in Hove.
Yeah.
So they would have wanted to know where that money was coming from. It would have been said that it was coming from a trust.
Yeah.
Right? Number 4, was this original legal team in possession of the full facts to offer the correct advice? Well, did she mislead them? Did you deliberately mislead them, which could be a serious problem? Number 5, will you now publish the inaccurate advice so the public can see how you were misadvised?
Yeah, I think that's key. If she's claiming that it was incorrect advice, then we need to see that.
Yes. Number 6, did you actively aim to avoid paying additional stamp duty by ensuring you had no interest in your constituency home?
It's a constituency home.
It starts to look as if this is a deliberate attempt to avoid paying tax.
Mike, she's the MP. There's no question that she should understand that she's the MP for that area of Greater Manchester.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's her constituency home.
Did you ever seek advice from government lawyers or inform your department about the stamp duty issue? You think there might be in the Department of Housing a couple of people who would know exactly how much stamp duty you're supposed to be paying? This is an absolute ball of wax. Number 8, are you certain that you have paid the correct amount of council tax on your constituency and Grace and Favour homes and Seaside Flat in Hove?
So many
questions.
Homes.
Number 9, did the court order stop you from revealing details about your property affairs, or did you hide behind that? And number 10, finally, if the ethics probe finds you breached the ministerial code, will you resign?
Mike, why would the court order relating to her disabled son stop her as a minister in her job from revealing details about her property?
Yeah, I don't see why it would.
About her property dealings.
I don't see why it would. And also, if she asked for them to lift the anonymity order, perhaps it was put on there because she asked for it.
No one's asking for the identity of her son. No one's asking for his name or photograph or anything.
No.
It's about her decisions, where that money came from. There's no question of breaching her son's privacy.
I'm looking after the children. She says, when I'm looking after the children, I go back to the family home. And then when my ex-husband is looking after the children, he does. So does she live there or not? Does she just visit from time to time? Doesn't seem to see the children very much.
No, she really doesn't.
Laurie Magnus is the guy, the ethics advisor she's going to be seeing, who's launched an investigation.
That's it, Laurie Magnus, yeah.
Yeah, it's so murky, it's just ridiculous. She says in a statement, the application of complex deeming provisions which relate to my son's trust gives rise to additional stamp duty liabilities. I acknowledge that due to my reliance on advice from lawyers which did not properly take account of these provisions, I did not pay the appropriate stamp duty. That sounds to me like she didn't tell them.
Yeah. And just a reminder of what she said about Nadeem Zahawi. She said his position is untenable. He must resign or be sacked. He's a disgrace. The whole government should hang their heads in shame.
It's incredible, isn't it? How's this from Sarah in Morden? We're also forgetting that if Angela Rayner has just taken out a mortgage and if she loses her job, she may lose the new mortgage. How will she pay? That's a very good point. And also this from Sean. Nice to see you back, fella. How does this look like across the world? How our country is being run? The Chancellor crying at Prime Minister's questions, Deputy Prime Minister crying at Prime Minister's questions. I mean, it doesn't look great, does it?
Well, it's an absolute joke.
All of these strong women he's got around him. He can't seem to stop crying every 5 minutes. Voice note from Andy.
Morning, Mike. Andy from Birmingham. Good to see you back, pal, and you never got arrested at the airport with 5 or 6 armed policemen. Well, Angela Rayner. Do you know what? It wouldn't be so bad. People would have a little bit of sympathy. You know, you try and, I wouldn't say, you avoid paying tax, don't you? And to do what she done, but it's the utter hypocrisy of her. Absolutely terrible. All those things she called the Tory scum, this and that and everything. And basically, she's been caught and she's got to go. There's no other way that she'll have to resign by the end of the week, I think. Anyway, mate, coming to see you anyway at Shepherd's Bush. I've told the missus that we're going to a musical, so you've got to keep it stuff. Have a great day.
All right, Andy, don't mention Shepherd's Bush Empire. He's right. She's got to go. There's literally no two ways about it. I cannot see how. I mean, I take your point that these people cling on to the very last moment.
I hope you are right, and I hope Andy is right. I really do. But I just have this sense that she will still be in position this time next week. We shall see.
We shall see. This one from Cliff in Berkshire. He says, Rayner's building 500,000 homes. What, for herself?
Starmer is claiming she has built 1.5 million new homes.
Yeah. Like everything else he says, it's not true.
She owns 1.5 million homes.
Yeah, it's like everything else he says, it just simply isn't true.
Also, he's a lawyer. He's a barrister, actually. I think that's relevant. He should know that ignorance of the law is no defence. He should know all this stuff, Mike.
Yeah.
Starmer is not an idiot.
How about this from somebody who was commenting on the story in the Mail? When we were suing the NHS for my grandson being born with cerebral palsy, we were told the money had to go into a trust controlled by non-family members and that the family could only ask for money from the trust to cover things for my grandson and that we could not have any control over it.
Yeah, and that's what I would imagine a court order, and I don't know about this stuff.
So she may have told them that she needed the money to, customise a flat or something for her son. That's possible, but if it turns out that's not what it was for, then that's another problem.
But isn't that what a court order is? A court order is about protecting the child and making sure that that money, wherever it comes from, suing the NHS, if that money has been got for that child, for that baby born prematurely, then that money needs to be protected. That's what the court order is about. Her bringing it in about all this stuff.
But it's not meant to be to buy another flat a long way from where he lives with his father. She's just said that he lives with his dad in Ashton-under-Lyme, in what she calls the family home.
There's no question that he's been down at the seaside place in Hove, where I believe she spends time with her new partner.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. It's all very murky, is all I know. Anyway, 6:39. Welcome back to Morning Glory, 6:41. I'm Mike Graham. Emma Woolf is here with me, and we're going through some great messages that you're sending in. Thank you very much indeed. Janice in Chester says, morning Mike and Emma, perhaps HMRC need to revisit the sale of the council house debacle once again. Well, I think you have to go all the way back to the beginning to find out about the two houses. I mean, it's not like she hasn't got form here. You know, she's done some pretty dodgy property deals over the time
and that she's
been able to buy homes.
There have been questions all the way along, Mike, and we've been repeatedly told, well, yelled at, we've been repeatedly told, there's no question she has done anything wrong. Well, there are many questions.
Well, now she's admitted doing something wrong,
she has.
So they're all wrong,
I think this goes way back. I think your call is absolutely right, that it goes back to the sale of that council house, but also goes back to this court order and the compensation.
There's also some suggestion, it seems to me, going back even further into, like, Unite Union coffers, that they made some massive payment to her about something or other, like to the tune of about £1.5 million.
Well, people have said the sums don't add up, that she's been able to buy all these properties, and that's another interesting angle. Where does all the money come from?
An MP's salary is, at the moment, I think around 96,000, but it wasn't always 96,000.
She'll be on more because she's on a ministerial.
She is on more, but that's only for last year.
No, I know.
Right?
I know.
So before that, you know, say she was able to get a mortgage for maybe, say, 4 times 90,000 or something like that, you know, it's not enough to buy the place in Hove.
No.
I'm sorry, it isn't. Now, just to recap, because I've been away for a few days, we've got a government now with a homelessness minister who resigned over making people homeless. We've got a corruption minister who resigned over corruption claims and is now on trial in Bangladesh. A transport minister who was an ex-police officer who resigned over lying to the police. We've now got a housing minister who doesn't know how much tax to pay when she buys a house.
Looking great, isn't it?
Not a great look, is it? Let's face it.
Oh, and a chancellor who's in charge of the economy and is sobbing for an hour on live television.
Who can't add up.
And who's many questions over her CV, and actually many of the cabinet you could ask questions over their CVs.
I know, absolutely. Well, then take a little swing over to the United States of America, where I was until yesterday morning. Nigel Farage went to Congress to make a speech about free speech in the UK and how it's under threat.
You can say what you like, I don't care, because that's what free speech is, and in a sense, this has all been going wrong now for a couple of decades. We've kind of forgotten the Voltairean principles that we'll fight and defend to the death your right to say something that we fundamentally disagree with. That is the absolute foundation, if you think about it, of free speech, of democracy, of living in freedom. It's kind of why we fought 2 world wars at massive, massive cost to defend that very principle. You know, I come from the land of Magna Carta. I come from the land that gave us the mother of parliaments, and it doesn't give me any great joy to be sitting in America and describing the really awful authoritarian situation that we have now sunk into.
I thought he was going to say I come from the land down under there for a minute.
Can you sing it?
But he didn't. I'm not going to sing it. Too early. But have a look at this. Is Keir Starmer having a go at him for not being in London.
Well, Mr. Speaker, of course, the honourable member for Clacton is not here representing his constituencies in the house that he was elected to. No, he's flown to America to badmouth and talk down our country. And worse than that, Mr. Speaker, if you can believe it, he's gone there to lobby the Americans to impose sanctions on this country which will harm working people. You cannot get more unpatriotic than that. It's a disgrace.
This is Starmer, whose now obsession is that Nigel Farage is not patriotic. Actually, what Nigel Farage was doing was going there to complain about the treatment of Graham Linehan by 5 armed Metropolitan Police officers who arrested him and locked him up for saying some things on Twitter that they didn't like.
Right, but before we even get to that, that is coming from a Prime Minister. Oh, he's not in London at the moment. He's not a PMQ. it comes from a Prime Minister who has literally been abroad for every time there's been a problem or a scandal or an issue in this country, he gets on a plane and goes to Ukraine or Europe or wherever. No, if you do your map, you know, you're flying Ukraine, Starmer around the world map, he's barely ever here. So that is rich coming from him. And actually really Farage is raising concerns that many people have, not just about Linehan, but about the general tenor. About
we know that
this has been happening for months now.
And even
grandmas being arrested for saying things on Facebook.
Well, just before I left, people were getting, you know, told to disperse because they wanted to put a flag up. You know, the Union flag or the flag of St George, being told they can't do it.
Flags being taken down, exactly.
Or you have to get permission for it. I mean,
the heavy-handed police, riot police running all around lawful protest when women in pink turn up to protest. That's what Nigel Farage was talking about. Whether the Americans particularly care, whether it's really on their radar very much.
Well, the point that he made
is another issue, but it's an important point.
It is. The point that he made was that Linehan himself is not a British citizen, he's an Irish citizen, and he's flown into Heathrow as a foreigner, effectively, and he's been arrested by the British government. Effectively, right? So he's saying to Americans, you know, you might want to be careful because the same thing could happen to you.
Watch out what you say.
That's what he's saying.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't think he's saying watch out what you're saying. He's just saying, you know, this is how bad things have now got.
Yeah, well, maybe watch out what you say if you want to go into Heathrow. Not only was Linehan arrested by 5 armed police officers, Mike, these are historic tweets. These were back in April. So basically, you have the Met Police. They have been spending 6 months looking into this nonsense. The tweets themselves certainly weren't inflammatory.
No, but we don't want to talk about the tweets because that's still a subject of a legal case, so we can't get into that. But don't worry, because Starmer's put out a new deportation video, because that'll be the next thing that happens. Once you get arrested for tweeting, you'll then get deported. Check this out. That looks exactly like the last 2 that they put out. It's the same 3 guys carrying the same blue plastic bags, getting out of a minibus and walked through into. I mean, I presume.
Sorry, is that an advert? Is that a car advert?
Yeah, I know. It's like a new car ad for some new Chinese electric vehicle, you know. But it sounded a bit like a submarine, didn't it? Do you remember the submarine when he was there with his binoculars? I see no ships. What an absolute plonker. Anyway. It turns out, I presume, I haven't missed this, that since I left, I went away last Thursday, I assume that I didn't miss the fact that nobody's been deported.
Nobody. So one in, one out. Zero. Still zero.
Zero. No, zero out.
Yeah, zero out.
4,000 in.
Plenty in.
Yeah, loads in. According to Robert Jenrick, there's a new phrase, right? And you can check this out. There's net emigration.
Yeah.
It's not net immigration anymore, it's net emigration. So he wants basically fewer people coming to the UK than are deported or who leave.
So now Jenrick's more far right than Farage, so he's one-upmanship on the net zero. So that obviously you've got the net zero policy of reform.
Right.
But yeah, Jenrick wants more people leaving than are deported or leave. Sorry, he wants fewer people coming in than are deported or leave.
I mean, you do wonder.
It all just becomes a bit ridiculous. But the fact that this Emmanuel Macron deal, the one in, one out deal from July, has been a complete and utter failure.
Is about to collapse, I think, next Tuesday. There will no longer be a French government. And they'll
probably do better than us. Didn't the Belgians kind of have about 6 months without a government at one point a few years ago?
Well, they had one in Northern Ireland and no government. Actually, it wasn't any worse.
Yeah, exactly.
It wasn't any worse.
But they were still getting paid, so that was okay.
Speaking of international affairs, there's a big spread in the Mail about China. I don't know if you saw this yesterday.
Well, there's been alarming chit-chat, hot micing between Xi Jinping and Putin, hasn't there?
Yeah, well, look at all this.
Talking about how they're going to harvest organs and live forever.
This is Beijing's high-tech weapons, the J-20 stealth fighter, aircrew 1, maximum speed Mach 2, right? Wingspan 42 foot 3 inches, range 3,400 miles, maximum altitude 62,000. They got that. They got hypersonic missiles. They've got unmanned aircraft. They've got a robo-dog, for heaven's sake, which apparently is a drone that can carry weapon supplies and perform reconnaissance missions. But they've got this massive show of force going on.
And these are
on the other side of the world.
And these are the guys that we're allowing to build a massive secret centre in the Royal Mint in the middle of London with secret rooms and chambers that they won't tell us what they're going to put inside in the middle of London.
Yeah.
And also, can I just mention, this hot mic at a military parade in Beijing recorded President Putin yesterday, discussing one of his favourite topics, the possibility of organ transplants delaying ageing and death. So basically, Putin reckons he's going to not only be elected forever, but he's going to live to 150. That's a fun thought, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely right.
Harvesting organs?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think they already do. This one, for me, is the stupidest story of the day. Page 15 of the Daily Mail. Don't squeeze your avocados. There's a new scanner for that. You hold the avocado under this light, right, and it tells you whether it's ready to eat or not.
How pathetic are people?
I mean,
how pathetic. People need their avocados to be exactly the right consistency. So they can't pick it up and do what people have done for decades, which is...
wait for it to get soft.
Yeah, or my mother used to pick up a pineapple and, I don't know, you can tell whether it's the right, and if not, you let it ripen.
Right.
Yeah, so buy some avocados and let them ripen.
Put it in a windowsill.
But also, these are being introduced into supermarkets. So they can't deal with millions of pounds worth of
I can't even work the weighing machine, right?
You know
when you have to try and put your vegetables on a weighing machine. I can never make them work. So I always just turn up with them. When they started doing those the paper bags, I would literally turn up at at the checkout just with a load of stuff in my arms.
Maybe you're the kind of shoplifter who pretends everything is a banana. Yeah. So you're putting all the expensive stuff through.
I literally
avocados, everything on the scanner, and then just press bananas.
But can you imagine how often this thing will be faulty? So you'll get a banana, because you can measure bananas as well, tomatoes, grapes, straw. I mean, who needs to measure a tomato, right?
Grapes.
Yeah. I mean, it's just mad.
So it measures how much water and consistency there is in the fruit. Yeah. And then it gives you a rating, I think a rating out of 100 or something, of how ripe it is. And then because that is what Snowflake generation has done.
It'll confuse the hell out of Rachel Reeves. She'll never know what she'll be standing there for ages.
And they can't deal with shoplifting, but they've got these scanners in all the supermarkets. This is ludicrous.
It'd be great if somebody shoplifts the scanner. Obviously, we wouldn't be encouraging anyone to commit any kind of criminal act. That would be wrong. 6:52. Got this from someone who doesn't want to have his name or her name shared. Mike, welcome back. I'm listening on the radio. The start of the music on Starmer's deportation video sounds like a bad shark movie. Was it Sharknado? One of those. They've solved it. Stick some sharks in the channel. Am I still allowed to call them sharks? Maybe call them toothy marine creatures just to be safe. I know, absolutely ridiculous. Well, let's not forget Rachel Reeves, the other woman on the other side. You know, because Starmer stands there in PMQs. He's got Rachel Reeves to his left. He's got Angela Rayner to his right. When Angela Rayner was smiling when Rachel Reeves was crying, yesterday it was all reversed because Rachel Reeves was smiling and Angela Rayner was all teary-eyed looking. This is an interview from just the other day. Rachel Reeves was interviewed by school kids. Check it out.
I've been hearing about you in the news that you like taxes. If you had 3 wishes, what would it be?
Oh my goodness. To answer your questions well, to make sure that all children have a good start in life, and for my own children to give me less chat back. I don't think that third one's going to come true.
If you could have another job, what would that be?
Oh, well, what I'd really like to be is Beyonce, but I don't think I'm ever going to be Beyonce. So before I became an MP, I worked in finance. I worked in banks and financial institutions. So I guess that's what I would go back to doing. But at the moment, I'm doing the job that I want more than any other job. I'm in charge of the country's finances. All right? Yeah, you happy with my answers? I get a high five. Hey, very good.
She only does manic, doesn't she? Is either manically depressed or really, really ridiculously over-enthusiastically happy. And she apparently, did you notice she didn't say, I thought I was waiting for the magic words, I used to be an economist.
She said she used to work in finance, so when she loses her job, she'll go back to working in banking. I don't think so.
I don't think anybody wants her back in banking.
I don't think anyone is going to offer her a job in banking.
Well, the story in The Sun today says Chancellor has been put on notice to cut spending in her budget to help tackle Britain's mounting debt. City analysts have said she must reduce expenditure to help plug the country's financial black hole, which she's now responsible for.
But more seriously, Mike, they're also saying that pushing this budget right to the end of November is actually really, really unhelpful for businesses who need to make investment decisions, and that there's all this uncertainty.
I know. Let's have a look at what she says about the economy.
Britain's economy isn't broken, but I do know that it's not working well enough for working people. Bills are too high, and you feel that you're putting more in but you're getting less out, and that has to change. But there are still challenges. The cost of living pressures, I know, are still very real. We need to bring inflation and borrowing costs down, and we do that by keeping a tight grip on day-to-day spending,
and by enforcing my non-negotiable fiscal rules. Renewal is our mission, and growth is our challenge. Investment and reform are our tools. The tools to build an economy that works for you and your family and rewards you. More pounds in your pocket, an NHS that is there when you need it, and opportunities for all, including your kids and grandkids. Those are my priorities as your Chancellor. They're the priorities of the British people, and it is what I am absolutely determined to deliver.
She almost said laser focused there, but not quite. I've got a good idea, right? If you're feeling like you're a bit under the weather financially and you don't have enough money at the end of every month, just stop paying tax. Just don't do it. And so when they ask you why you didn't pay tax, you can say, I was advised not to by some tax advisors. They said don't pay it.
They said don't pay it.
I mean, they were wrong.
I'm absolutely devastated at the decision I made.
Devastated.
It was, I was given the incorrect advice and I just decided not to pay out.
Yeah. Emma, great to see you. Thank you very much indeed. Emma Woolf, ladies and gentlemen.